Around the Ozarks is now on your FM radio. Listen to Around the Ozarks mornings with Grace Gooley as I spotlight local people, stories, and podcasts, all while playing the country legends of the 90s and the hit makers of the 2000s. It's on the Ozarks' best country, 105.1 The Bull. Hi, this is Joy Robertson. As many of you know, I love food. I love finding new restaurants. I love trying new dishes. And most of all, I love talking to the many great restaurateurs and entrepreneurs we have here in the Ozarks and beyond. I love hearing their stories, and that's what this podcast is all about, learning more about them and their journey. So join me as we savor the Ozarks. This episode is brought to you by Jim's Steakhouse and Pub, Kitchenland USA, and Springfield's locally owned Fazoli's. I am at a true destination in downtown Springfield, the gorgeous Hotel Vandivort on Walnut Street. They recently unveiled their spring menu at the Order, and of course I want to talk food, but I want to talk to these two guys in front of me about your careers. Executive Chef Calvin Davis is with me, as well as Chef de Cuisine Dylan Davis, no relation, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Are the two guys in charge here. And Calvin, I'll go ahead and start with you because you've kind of been here the longest. The hotel opened in 2015. When did you get here?
So I started at the hotel in January of 2022 as the executive chef at that time, and then took on food and beverage director role in spring of 23, yeah.
Okay. Kind of all runs together after a while, doesn't it?
It's hard to keep track of, yeah.
And now you are the executive chef for the management company, correct?
I'm the corporate executive chef for Sage Restaurant Concepts, yes. So,
tell me, where are you from originally?
I'm from the Kansas City area, but then family moved, spent my middle and high school days in Stockton. Dylan's also a Stockton high school alum, actually the same age as my younger brother, and they went to school together. But spent my professional career, started in New York, a little time in Miami, New Orleans, and then back to Kansas City, and then ended up here in 2022.
So you started, or you spent a lot of time around the Ozarks, kind of went all around and then ended up back here. And you attended CIA in New York, is that right?
Yep, that's where I started in New York.
Now, am I right that you studied journalism for a while? Was it here at Missouri State?
Yep, Missouri State, 2 years of J school while I was working front of the house at Twin Oaks Country Club, where I come from a restaurant background, but that was where I kind of got more into the nicer side of dining, cooking on my own a lot, stuff like that.
Okay, so you went out, you had some formal training, you ended up coming back, and I know that one of the let's see, I think I wrote it down, Flavors of the Ozarks. It says on your menu, Flavors of the Ozarks, and I know you try to utilize local products and local flavors and things that will appeal to a local audience as well as people who travel here. Real quick, a side note I read about you, Chef Calvin, your grandfather, yeah, you're nodding,
Yeah.
He started KC Masterpiece?
Yep, that's exactly right. Started the sauce many number of years ago, and then that's where I really started in restaurants, was the Masterpiece restaurants, running around with my dad and washing dishes and getting in servers' ways and all kinds of stuff.
So when you chose journalism, did you know it wasn't for you when you got into school, or did you kind of always have your eye? You said you worked at a restaurant, so why journalism?
That was my interest in high school. I was a writer. I still write a lot day to day. Among many things, menu's probably the most prevalent. But yeah, no, it was just always an interest of mine. But yeah, school was not my thing necessarily. And then, just found my way to the kitchen and the restaurant world. And that's what I really enjoyed doing. So that's what I decided to make my career.
Tell me about this tattoo on your arm.
That's Stockton Lake. That's
I knew you were going to say that. It looks like a lake map for all the
body
world.
of water. That's better than most people do. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Stockton Lake. I wondered about that when I saw it. I thought, you mentioned Stockton.
Yeah.
That's probably what that is. All right. I want to talk about food, but let's talk to Chef Dylan Davis. Again, no relation. Hi, Dylan. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I am doing great. Tell me a little bit about your background.
So I, like Chef Calvin was saying, ended up going to high school with his younger brother, and we were actually pretty good friends. We were on the golf team together, and we hung out and just talked a lot during school. And it just so happened that I ended up working with his brother in the future. Genuinely, it's just a crazy coincidence. When I graduated high school, I worked in town for just a little bit, and I ended up moving to Arizona with the idea of pursuing like a dedicated culinary school. And when I had gotten out there, they had closed the school for kitchen renovation for 6 months. So I was kind of just left for 6 months without really a plan. And the program there, if you follow, start and then follow the way through, is like 9 to 12 months. So, almost the length of the full program. So I ended up just working in different areas there. I worked in a couple of smaller restaurants in Avondale and the Goodyear area. I ended up working in a hospital for a while, which was an interesting environment for sure. Yeah, you learn a lot about dietary restrictions and stuff like that, which is always useful for stuff moving forward. At the time, I was dating somebody, and it was a long distance relationship, and that's always tough. So I ended up moving back to Springfield, where she was at the time. And that was right when the hotel was hiring all of their staff for our second property, which was in 2019, around September, I believe is when it opened. So I opened the Vantage Kitchen up there. So I was on the original team of people that were there. And then I just worked as a line cook and kind of did my time there and ended up coming down to our kind of flagship kitchen. And just kind of worked my way up over the next few years there. So,
Did you go to culinary school?
I did a brief period of time at the OTC program before I decided that I wanted to go pursue a more dedicated one, and then I didn't end up going while I was out there. I did my time there, and after I was there for 6 to 8 months, I was I just need to go back. So I didn't end up finishing there, but I had a lot of hands-on experience and ended up doing the rest of it here. So
yeah, it's a great school, but you've had a whole lot of experience out there, obviously, and you do just amazing work. Who taught you to cook? How did you get into the culinary? What you get bit by the bug, you get bit by the bug. There's just no two ways about it. When did that start for you?
My family's always been very food focused. I don't know if anyone specifically taught me to cook, but growing up, I would always be cooking in the kitchen with my dad and my mom, and I would remember I would visit my dad in the summers, and if we were gonna go watch golf together, or gonna watch a movie or something, we always went to the kitchen and made something beforehand. We would make guac or make salsa or something, right? And that was just kind of what we did for 30 minutes to an hour every time before we would do something. And he has always been really involved with food, but he has a really kind of a limited palate. I try to show him things, and he gets kind of freaked out by some things until he tries them. So, but yeah, I think a lot of it came from just family experiences. Okay. So yeah, just the idea behind that. I was also, when I first started OTC, I wasn't even planning on going into culinary. I went there to do gen eds originally with the idea of transferring to go into something else. It was either going to be graphic design or architecture or something in that realm. And yeah, I think that I was there for a little over a year, and I just one day kind of woke up and I was I think I want to do something with food. Okay. So I kind of just made the swap. Yeah.
Well, there's just nothing better than good food. And hospitality is just so much fun. It is. And the Hotel Vandivort is a fabulous boutique hotel. It's stunning to look at. It's stunning to sit in. It's beautiful. It's just a great place to spend your time. It's a lovely environment, and the food reflects that. And I want to talk about the difference between the menus at the order, because I don't think they've ever been necessarily the same menus. I'm not sure if I'm right about that. They are different, aren't they, Callan?
You mean season to season?
Well, if I were to go upstairs right now to Vantage.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and I may have misspoke earlier, but if I'm at the order, there's one menu, and if I'm at Vantage, there's a different one.
Right. Yeah, correct. Two completely separate menus. Vantage is stays pretty much small tweaks here or there, just as they're needed. But it's really a raw bar. Well, it's a concept that's meant to be in a bar. It is bar first. So we've got a raw bar with some oysters, ceviche, shrimp cocktail, charcuterie and cheese program, and then tapas style small plates. And then down here at the order is more of like your traditional, like modern American fine dining, seasonally focused. We change the menu 4 times a year. We kind of say we do a full top to bottom overhaul in spring and fall. Like everything changes no matter what. And then summer and winter are more just like those hyper seasonal, like, don't want to have morel mushrooms in July or, tomatoes in December. So just making those changes kind of in the summer and the winter.
Let's talk about that spring menu. I was invited to come and take a taste, and it was stunning. And Dylan, I'm looking at you because you were front and center that day and helped come up with a lot of that. What was your inspiration? I mean, I just think spring things probably were your inspiration.
Sure.
The use of things like peas and lemon, greens, you mentioned morels. Where did you come up with the menu? You've got to have fun doing that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When Chef Calvin kind of took the position in the Sage restaurant concept, it kind of fell to me to take a little bit more of the focus on the restaurant here and just like the day-to-day projects. So I've had a little bit more involvement in like the menu design and stuff. Obviously, we still talk about everything and kind of come up with things together, but I've had a little bit more of the focus there. When you get into spring, it's really exciting because you're coming out of winter where you have, I would argue, the least amount of produce. Like you get rid of all the stuff you have in fall and you're really left with not a lot. So coming into spring, it's really exciting because you have all this new produce available. But then even in spring, you're still kind of limited. You're not in summer yet when kind of everything is available. Like the end of spring, beginning of fall, all of summer, like you have all of those things available in summer. Spring, you have like asparagus comes into season. You have fennel, you have peas, you have fava beans. You have all of like those early growing. Like you've got the beginning of carrots and different dishes. So you get the chance to use all of those things. So every time those come around, we always try to make use of those. And I will say the great thing about, we have new things coming, and even though there aren't a lot of them, it's great because it's easy to use those 6 to 8 items. You can always find a way to incorporate them in different dishes and different ways. So you'll notice on the spring menu we have peas in a lot of ways and a lot of different dishes, but we try to keep them all pretty different so it doesn't get stale across the board. So
that I keep going back to that beautiful scallops dish. That was just unbelievable. It was like and correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't know, and I don't have the menu in front of me, but it was like a seared scallops on sort of a pea puree with kind of a brown butter, like a sauce or a broth, I guess you'd say. That was just stunning to me.
So yeah, we have like a pea puree. We make a broth out of all of the shells from the pea pods because we get them all in whole, and we like to try to utilize obviously as much as we physically can from all those things. So we save all of the shells, and I blend them with ice water and a bunch of other things to kind of like season them and then strain it out, and it makes like this really dark green broth that goes into the puree itself to kind of try to keep it light and fresh instead of having just like a bunch of cream in it or something, right, where it's really heavy. And then it goes onto the plate as well. And then whenever we sear those scallops, we have like the brown butter left from the pan and basting them, and we just kind of drizzle it on top of everything. So you get a little bit of that like rich, nutty brown butter stuff with all of like the really fresh stuff from spring.
I was just talking to another employee here at the hotel, and I was telling her I literally just got back from Key West 4 or 5 days ago, and I had all this seafood around me, and all I could think about was those scallops that I got in downtown Springfield. Really, truly, that was my favorite, I think, of everything that we had. But the morels, do you guys both hunt morels? Have you done that? You do that?
I'm an avid morel hunter.
Are you?
Yes, actually, this year, because of my role with Sage, among other things, was the first year I did not pick a morel mushroom personally. And I don't know how many years. We had a remarkably short season this year. So all my friends who were out were reporting, and I was seeing pictures, but the season itself was only about 14 days from the earliest of early, and I just couldn't make my way out to the woods this season. So I'll be at him again next year, but yeah, missed him this year.
That's one of those things I've never done, and I've always wanted to. Have you done that before?
I've actually, I know we have gone together, so I know his little secret spot. I have sworn to secrecy with him and his family about it.
Yep.
So
You don't just leave it right there.
You can come next year, Joy. I'll show
I
you.
would love to. I really would. Like, I've never done that. And I had a friend years ago that used to go every year, he and his brothers. And he always said, let me know. Well, I just forget. It sneaks up on me. Like, I don't know when the season is. It's not on my radar. But what is on my radar is that pasta dish that you had with the morels all over. And just popping open that pasta, digging the fork in there, and having that runny egg yolk come out was like dreamy. Was that one of you? Where'd you get that idea?
So, I mean, that pasta is like kind of a classic Italian dish. It just, we've kind of put a spin on it for the things that we have here. So, I mean, pasta uovo, just like the pasta where it's like one large raviolo with that raw egg yolk in the center. And then by the time the pasta is cooked through and you have it glazed in sauce, it's like that like perfect like poached egg texture. And the idea is you have like a really light sauce, like maybe you just baste it in butter or something, right? But then like as you cut it open, the egg yolk kind of mixes with everything and kind of makes its own little sauce. So we just took that idea, and we've done something with that in the past, and I've been taking all of the trim from all the mushrooms that we have, like all the stems and all the dried mushrooms that we take, and turning that into like a filling for it. And then we're taking those great morels and browning them, just barely seasoning them and doing them on top with a little bit of green garlic pesto. So.
Oh, the green garlic pesto. That's right. I knew there was something I was leaving out. Man.
That also is a really short season. Yeah. I would say like towards the middle to end of spring, you can't even get it anymore because all the garlic's just getting too big. The flavor kind of fades. It's more fibrous. But yeah, for that first part of spring, it's like, it's one of my favorite ingredients to use, yeah.
Okay, I remember you mentioning that. You were in on this whole planning of the menu?
Yeah, I mean, we like Dylan said, like he really took lead with it with our sous chef Michelle, and then we work in a Google Doc together and just kind of start. We'll start the one for summer probably here in a week or two because it's just kind of an ongoing process. But you kind of referenced it with the scallops, and then also with the raviolo. We do also kind of like we revisit ideas a lot. So we'd done a kind of a version of that scallop before. Like Dylan said, we'd done a version of this pasta before. So I think that's something that's really nice about where the restaurant's at is we have a lot of like self-reference we can do, and because we have these historic sheets and recipes and documents, we can actually go back and pull specific things, think about them, a year later, 2 years later, change how we want to do them a little bit. So yeah, I think it's a really good sign of a restaurant being in a really good place with a team that's been together for a long time. Is you kind of develop that like your own internal language, and we have our own like kind of set of ingredients that we're used to working with, and then our staff under us all kind of gets used to that. So it just becomes this kind of like self-referencing cycle where things are just like really good because they start 2 or 3 steps ahead from just like the raw creative process.
And you do keep your eye out for those sort of good old Ozarks ingredients that you want to, share with the world, the ones who are visiting, but also not make it so local that it just tastes like, because there's nothing here that, heaven knows there's nothing in here that tastes like what I have at my house.
Sure.
No, nothing at all. But what are some of those local ingredients you're looking for now, but you've got your eye on for in the summertime?
I mean, I always love the second summer comes around. I'm always in the farmer's market for tomatoes. It's like,
oh, yeah.
I'm such a fiend for tomatoes. I love them so much. I'm actually gardening for the first time now that I've got my own place, and I'm trying to grow a bunch of different varieties of them. But yeah, tomatoes are a huge thing for me. I think every summer we buy like weekly 20 to 30 pounds of heirloom tomatoes from places, and we just burn through them all. So yeah, that's a huge one for me.
That's one of those things. What do you look for?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like Dylan said earlier, like just like the variety you start to get into the summertime is so much better, but both being, from Stockton, black walnuts are very important to us. And I think for me, if you want to like pick out something that tastes like the Ozarks, I think like the black walnut is like the perfect example. It's just like so unique to this area. So that's one we always like to work in a lot of different ways.
I'm glad you brought that up. Hammond's Black Walnuts from up around Stockton. Brian Hammond's wonderful person, great family, amazing business. Those are not, it's a different taste. It's not the walnut that everybody's used to.
I grew up, I'm very good friends with Brian's son, Adam, and I actually just had dinner with him when I was in Austin 4 days ago. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got a bitter taste to it a little bit. The walnut, it's different. And they used to bring, every now and again they'd bring to the station like a basket, during the season. We would talk to them about harvesting walnuts because people have them, and what do? They gather them up and they go earn money for them. But there was a crispy, slightly crispy little black walnut cookie.
Oh, the cookie, yeah. There's also the black and gold walnuts are the ones I like. They're like the caramelized ones mixed with the chocolate covered ones. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Products.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Do you use the walnut oil too? The black walnut oil?
Yeah, we have before. I don't know if we still have some down there. We might. I think I might actually have a bottle in the office. But we've used a lot of their products. We were even getting there was the dried walnut husks or whatever, like the skins from the actual walnuts themselves. We were using those on a dish for a while. So yeah, we work with them tons. Yeah, we love using their stuff.
Yeah, that's an amazing product. I love those walnuts. I keep walnuts in the pantry and just eat a handful every now and again when I'm hungry. They're so good. I loved speaking of springy light ingredients, I love the cocktail. Your cocktail program is great, but I believe it's called the Secret Stalk with a little bit of a touch of celery in it. How has that gone over? I thought it was just genius.
I mean, our cocktail, that was, one thing coming into this building is everyone knew the bar program very well, and it was very well established. So it's been a pleasure to get to just be a part of that, but all that credit goes to our bar team. Josh and Brendan really are the creative minds behind that menu, and that's just a great example of I give them the mildest direction of I just want you to have a local thing in there. So we are tying to food, and celery is a great example. It's kind of actually hard to really get the flavor of celery, especially nuanced into a layered cocktail like that. And they just nailed it. It's perfect. So, and I've only heard great things about the cocktails on the spring menu, as I always expect to. So.
Oh, it was fantastic. You mentioned also the asparagus, and there was a lovely cheese surrounding that sort of grilled asparagus. Delicious. Local cheese, correct? Or at least Ozarks area.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we worked with them for a while at Grease and Dairy. Where are they based out of? Ava?
Ava.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what is his name?
Adrian Buff. So Adrian went and studied Swiss cheese making for 2 or 3 years in Switzerland. Came back, and then his dad is a cattle rancher, so he uses the milk from the dairy to make these very traditional Swiss-style cheeses. So that's his Griesenthaler, which Griesen is the name of the dairy farm, and then so it's like an Emmentaler style. But we use his Muchli in the pasta. He sells a raclette I'm dying to get my hands on.
Merrimack.
What's a Merrimack?
Merrimack, that's his beer washed one. He's also got one. No, Santos is I think Merrimack is his almost blue styled one. It's not like an actual blue, but it kind of has that flavor profile of one. Yeah, we've used those a couple of times. We like to get those local cheeses and try to use them on the menu when we can, and if not, we always get some incentive advantage for our charcuterie program. So,
So it's a certain kind of cheese that you're referring to.
Yes.
And they have you ever done a raclette here?
No, not yet. I guess that's one we haven't crossed off the list. But
have you done a fondue?
We have done many fondues. Yeah, we've done sweet potato, corn.
I think that may have been all we've done. I think we've just done those two. But we did do them back to back.
Iterations of a fondue. It runs in my mind. I've had one here, but I could have swore it was upstairs. Did I dream that?
Oh, we had fun. We had classic fondue for our igloos this past year. So in our igloos, we had a whole separate kind of program in there with, kind of winter season, savory, sweet fondue, all kinds of cocktail stuff and activations. So it was great.
And by igloos, you mean the clear bubble sort of igloos that you have on the roof outside of the the regular Vantage bar,
Right.
where you can sit outside and we've done it before. 6 friends will sit in there and stay nice and warm, and you guys wait on us hand and foot. What's not to love about that? Oh my God, I love that part.
When you're responsible for feeding a group, you want it to be simple. And, of course, you want everyone to love it. Fazoli's Catering makes it easy with baked pastas, pizza, fresh salad, and our famous signature garlic breadsticks. It's a great fit for any size office lunch, meeting, family gathering, team meal, or any occasion. Find the menu and order online at Fazoli's.com.
Fast, fresh, Italian Fazoli's.
Some people check the weather. Others check our soup of the day. Hi, this is Jim with Jim's Steakhouse and Pub. Our soup of the day changes, but the comfort never does. Just check with your server, because nothing takes the edge off a cold day like whatever's simmering at Jim's.
When you walk through those legendary doors, you're gonna find there's so much to love. So do yourself a favor, dig that service and flavor. Jim's Steakhouse and Pub.
Have you heard the news? Kitchenland USA in Nixa has expanded with a new 2,000 square foot addition. Now they're fully dedicated to your kitchen and bath projects from start to finish, and it's all under one roof. Stop by the new showroom to see and touch the newest sinks, tubs, walk-in showers, faucets, lighting displays, tile, and flooring, all in one showroom.
Kitchenland USA, newly expanded kitchen and bath showroom in Nixa, where your vision is our mission.
So this patchwork pork, and the dishes that I'm mentioning, there are more dishes on your menu than what we tried. You know, unfortunately, we can only eat so much. But the patchwork pork, that's a big dish. There's a lot of food on that plate. And there were different variations of pork. Remind me what all we had there.
So we have like the boneless loin that kind of runs to the center, and we just cut those in like the classic style chops, and we sous vide them. And then we sear those, and then we kind of coat them in this combination of like a crispy bacon and like our own kind of version of like a French style onion kind of thing around the outside. And then we just finish them through in the oven, and it makes this like bacon onion crust kind of thing with like that perfect like medium cooked pork. And then we've got like a pork belly on there that we just get really nice and crispy, and we braise them ahead of time so they're like perfectly tender.
I'm all about the pork belly. Yeah. And you came up with sort of a twist on a Greek, like a dolma that you would have with the grape leaves and the rice, which I freaking love those. But you came up with one that is very Ozarks and very seasonal with cabbage and beans and what have you. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we use like a field pea style bean. So, I mean, field peas, a lot of people think of like, the most common one is like black-eyed peas, right? Like, those are like peas, but they're like a small bean, right? So we use a variety of different field peas. Typically we use rouge peas when we have them around, which are like these like tiny little red ones. But we just cook those through in the same style that you would do beans with like, you know, different vegetables and aromatics in the pot. We blend some of those down and keep some whole for texture, and we mix those with like a classic like southern style braised green where, you know, we'll take whatever hearty greens we have laying around and we'll cook them down with like stock and bacon fat, onions, garlic, bunch of pepper, stuff like that. Fold those in together, and then we wrap them in that cabbage leaf. So it's like a, you know, Midwest Ozark style dolma. Instead of having grape leaves, you've got the cabbage, and so.
I just thought that was hugely creative. Yeah, you know,
that dish is like culturally all over the place. It's like a Greek dolma. It's like very Germanic flavors, and there's also like, to Dylan's point about like the homemade French's onion. That's like a quintessentially Midwestern ingredient too. So I think that's something that's like kind of at the heart of what we do. Is it's like we might reference 3 or 4 different cuisines in a dish, but we tend to find a way to pull them together. And to your point about it is a lot of food, but the way we kind of structure the menu is built around the option to share or not. So we kind of always tell people, like, you know, the main courses kind of go in order from like comfortable to eat for one up to like the pork, the steak, some of the other richer game dishes, like, you know, good to share, what good for one very hungry person or great to share among 2 or 3.
What are some of the other dishes that you unveiled for this new menu that I haven't even had yet? I did look through your menu. There's a lot on there. What are some of the things you're particularly proud of?
Let me think.
All of them.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, when people ask, like, is it good, or, like, what's good on the menu, I always say everything, because, I mean, that's the idea, right? We always have, like, some sort of, like, we kind of moved from having like a salad section on the menu to having like a more vegetable forward section. And we always try to keep one thing in there that is kind of like that classic like leafy type thing. And last fall and this spring we have like our like harvest style salad, where the idea is we kind of just whatever we can get from the farms we will use for it, and we'll kind of have that on rotation and just keep up with the service by what we're using. So it'll have like a lot of different types of vegetables that are in different preparations. Like some are going to be raw, some might be grilled, some are blanched, and then they're dressed really simply with like a vinegar, olive oil, salt kind of situation. So like I'm always really happy with that one, and that's like a really simple one. Obviously, I love the entrees. I think the pork dish is probably one of my favorite ones we've put on. I really like our chicken dish. Did we do that one for you guys?
We didn't do the chicken dish. Well, tell me about it.
So the chicken dish, we always get whole chickens, and we get them from Buttonwood, which is another place that's local around here. So we get our whole ones. I brine them whole, and then I dry them out overnight to kind of get the skin really nice, so it'll get crispy. And then right now we're taking the whole leg, and I'm deboning it, and I'm making a kind of combination chicken and pork sausage. That I'm stuffing that with. So we take all the trim when we're cutting all the pork and all of like the tenders that come off the breasts and like trim from the thighs, and we make like a sausage out of those. And I'll take that same kind of braised green that we were doing in the dolma, and I'll do that filling as well inside the thigh and the leg, and we'll roll it up, sous vide that whole thing together, and that gets fried with like a classic kind of flour, egg wash, breadcrumb style fry on it. And it just gets sliced simply down the middle and kind of presented on the plate. And then we braise some leeks on the plate, because leeks are a great spring thing, and I love them. We braise them until they're like falling apart, and we'll make these nice little rectangular sections out of them. And all of the trim from those, like the ones that don't make those like perfect nice little sections, we'll mince up and we'll work into the sauce for the dish, which is just like a classic chicken reduction that I add some of the liquid back from the braised greens into. So it's got like the little roulade that's like fried and crispy. It's got a really soft braised leek situation going on there. Some of that's worked into the sauce. We get this really great local bok choy from one of our farms. We grill that and just dress it really simply. And then we're doing, because the thigh is like a huge section, we're doing a half breast with that as well. And I would say that even looks like more food than the pork does typically when we get it. So.
Well, there are plates definitely to share here, which is truly, when I've been here, typically you're with people, you're very social, and you want to kind of share. I've said before, I'm not sharing the scallops, though. No way. Nor the ravioli. Nope. That's mine. Need more bread to sop up that broth with, too. But you can get a big old steak here if that's what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the steak is great. It comes from Circle M, which is a local farm. They handle the dry aging for us, so it's just like that really awesome dry aged flavor. And that one is, again, we changed the set seasonally, but it is pretty much consistently like a KC strip, 14 ounces, some kind of green veg, some kind of potato, like the same kind of mindset. So we've got asparagus and then some smaller like roasted potatoes right now on that with some melted leeks. But additionally to so we do change, like I said, we try to change almost everything 2 times a year, but there are a couple of things that stay the same pretty much no matter what, and those are ones I really love too. The cashew chicken is like our version. It's like Vietnamese lemongrass fish sauce caramel. It's like super savory, sweet, spicy herb. We throw some cilantro in there, so it's herbaceous too.
Because cashew chicken, Springfield cashew chicken, you kind of got to have that, but you put the Order's twist on it to make it really special.
Yeah, it's fine. I say the shareable section is that, and then also these hot crispy mushrooms, which is a twist on Corner 21's hot crispy fish or chicken or other things. So we just like accidentally made the shareable section of the menu like an homage to Springfield Chinese takeout. Totally on accident, but they are like very flavorful, and they really stimulate your palate early. Just like get the salivary glands going, and they're good for that. And also our burger doesn't change. It's like a smash burger. It's great. The fries, we do a classic like triple cooked chip or triple cooked fry. Burgers smashed just right. Great cheese. This tomato jam we make, like it's those three things don't change, but I think it's for a very good reason. They're like, and also like the mushrooms are from a local mushroom farm, and they're all again kind of self-referencing and make sense in the course of the menu.
I was reading your menu online before I came over. I have not had the crispy mushrooms yet. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Do you love them? Mm-hmm. What's the most popular thing on your menu, would you say?
Honestly, we probably sell the most of those 3 items. So, I think it's just like people know they're always here, and they're kind of like great ways to start the meal. And if someone's not comfortable trying other things, there's always a burger on a menu, and that's kind of something you just have to always have around. So, yeah, a burger's always going to sell like crazy. That's just the nature of it. And I would actually say we've kind of gotten to the point in this last couple of menus where we really do have like an even split across the board when it comes to our entrees. Like every once in a while we'll have a menu where like one kind of really takes over, but we've got a really good split yet. Yeah, I don't really ever feel like one really outpaces the other one, so which is a great place to be. Yeah.
That is good. Rhubarb, you had a lovely tart with rhubarb and some strawberry, and a wonderful. What is it? Is it chantilly? Mm-hmm. The yogurt? Man, that was good. Tell me about that. That was a substantial dessert, too. That's a good size.
Mm-hmm. So we went to for a while we had a pastry chef in-house, and he ended up going and doing his own stuff in town. So we ended up moving some of that to just stuff we would do in-house. Mm-hmm. So it's a good opportunity to kind of teach the rest of our staff how to do different things with that, but also not make them like too labor-intensive or overly complicated with them. But even so, that has become a really big part of them. They're almost like a pastry program over there that specializes in a few vegetable dishes now. But yeah, so that strawberry dish, the idea is obviously like strawberry is a huge thing in spring. That's that's the first real fruit we see for the year. Rhubarb starts popping up as well, and those are always like a kind of a classic combination together. So on the last menu and the one before, we had a tart on the menu, and this time I wanted to try doing something different but that I ate similar. So this one is a galette. And for those who are familiar with like different French pastries, a galette is almost like a hand pie, but it's not like an Amish style hand pie. It's like open faced. Yeah, so it's like you're essentially making pie but without a tin. You're kind of like having the base be the crust, and you're kind of folding the edges in to kind of make like the edges there, like the side of the pie essentially.
Right.
But yeah, it's like that same kind of like pie crust. It's like really flaky, really buttery, kind of crispy. And then we top that with this strawberry jam that we make, and we bake those together until they're like really crispy. So you get some strawberry jam that's like kind of dark and caramelized when it bakes in the oven, and then we top it with fresh jam as well right when it comes out. So you've got some really sweet, some kind of tart and fresh. And then I take rhubarb, and we'll slice it on a mandolin and get really nice like even thin pieces, and I'll take all the trim from that and do like a really high sugar to water ratio simple syrup, and I'll take all of that rhubarb trim and I'll work that in there and make like a really bright pink acidic simple syrup. Okay. Bring that to a boil. I'll pour it over the rhubarb just so it barely cooks it through, so you still have a little bit of texture but it's still pleasant to eat, and that just gets layered on top of the strawberries. And yeah, it just, you've got something really sweet going on, you've got something a little bit acidic.
I've never just launched into a rhubarb, but I had a friend who would just eat it like a big piece of celery, and that did not appeal to me.
It's much more pleasant for people when they cook it, but I do enjoy eating it raw on occasion.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I never have.
More flavor comes out and it really sweetens up when you cook it.
Okay, yeah.
It becomes much more pleasant to eat, but yeah, on its own, it kind of it's just sour. So
yeah, that's what I thought. I've tried some, and I thought, well, no wonder you need to cook this to make it really good. Tell me about, though, that tangy little, I want to call it almost like a dollop of like a yogurt-ish whipped cream tart. It's not ice cream, but this chantilly that you put on top. That really set it off well. Yeah,
so chantilly cream is, it has kind of a fancier name than it really is. Chantilly is kind of just like very sweet whipped cream. It has, like, typically when you see whipped cream in the U.S., it's out of a can or out of a bag or something, right? And it's just lightly sweetened and it goes on pies or whatever. But it is a classic French item, and it's just essentially like lots of sugar mixed with the cream and just kind of whipped until it kind of holds up. And it's served with a lot of desserts. It's served with fruit all the time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just like a flavor neutral, just kind of sweet and creamy thing to put with things. But because of how we had like really sugary sweet strawberries and we had tangy rhubarb, like it made perfect sense for me to be like, Greek yogurt goes great with both of these things. So we essentially take it to the point where it's almost whipped all the way, and we fold in like one really healthy dollop of Greek yogurt into it, and then just finish whipping it the rest of the way, and it gives it this like luscious, creamy, kind of tangy Greek yogurt taste to it, but still has like the texture and like creaminess of like a whipped cream essentially.
So that's what brought in the tartness. Yeah. I remember you saying that now that you mention it. Man, that was delicious. And the fresh mint, of course. I love a fresh mint leaf on just about anything, really. Now, the menu is fantastic. Really impressed with what you've done. Is there anything you can give us hints on coming up that you're mulling over now? You say you have like a Google group or something like that. You're always thinking ahead, I'm sure. And, you've got the summer, the heat of the summer coming up, followed by fall, which is lovely, followed by like holiday time. Is there anything on your radar right now that you can give us a hint that you might be toying with coming up?
I mean, nothing in specific. Obviously, we're always going to, swap. We always do some sort of vegetable plate that has tomatoes as a focus with it, so we'll do something with that. We always try to work eggplant to something. We really like eggplant, me and Chef. If I can get my hands on okra, that'll be on the menu somewhere. Lamb will probably come off. We'll probably have some sort of different game in that place. I haven't really decided what that's going to be yet. But yeah, otherwise, it'll be kind of similar things what we've done in the summers in the past. So,
what about Ozark's fish dishes?
I wish there were more options. So we'll start to get Great Lakes walleye back here in a month or two. Which we've done various things with before. Last year is kind of like a fish fry style with a warm potato salad, and then like we have hot sauces that we make in house for Vantage typically for the raw bar and stuff, but we use a little bit of a Fresno hot sauce, kind of buttered out into like a beurre blanc, so it was very much like a fish fry dish. I think walleye will definitely be back once we can start getting that fresh again. I actually the barramundi we have on the menu right now, I really like. It's not Ozarkian in any way, but it is a farm-raised freshwater fish from the U.S. This one's coming from Arizona. It's really good, super sustainable, and then just really like meaty, very sea bassy. Like Dylan said, some kind of game, I imagine, will place the lamb. I've heard people asking if we'll bring duck back. Dylan's great with duck. We had a great duck farmer for a long time that we haven't been able to replace all the way.
Yeah, I'm in all this ducks diet.
Yeah.
Oh, no, lost all the ducks?
Yeah,
really?
So, I think it was last year, right, or was the year before? I kind of lose track of time, but we had that bird flu go through the country, again, I don't know, a year, maybe it was 2 years ago. It's hard to keep track at this point, but yeah, it wiped out most of his flock of all these things, so I'm sure he lost a lot of his investment in that, so... When I talked to him at the time, he wasn't sure if he was going to do it again, and it sucks because I've worked with him the entire time we've been here. We've always had his stuff on the menu. But, if he decides to do it again, I'll for sure get it from him, so we'll see.
That's something that a lot of us don't think about. You go into a place, you see duck. I've never cooked duck myself. Sure. Not that I wouldn't, but you go in and you don't think about it. You think of all these farmers and breeders and what have you, and it just one little thing that's a big thing can completely wipe it out. Anything on your radar, Calvin, that you're thinking about is there anything you would like to cook with that you haven't had a chance to, or anything you're toying with?
I'm in the middle of menu development for so many things, so that's all that's on my mind right now. Honestly, these days it's great. We really get whatever we want as far as product goes. I don't think we want for much. We have people who FedEx us fish from the Northern Pacific overnight. We have great relationships with people with Gulf fish. We have, we just I'm obviously a big seafood person, but yeah, there's not much we want for. Local duck would be great if we can find somebody who does that. But no, it's we always I think we say we just kind of start with the ingredient that's in front of us and then try to work backwards from there. So just excited to see what we've got coming next and what that'll be.
The s'mores dessert is still on the menu. I saw it online.
It just came out.
Doggone it. I'm late to the party. Are you going to bring that back and tell our audience what that's all about? Because I haven't had it yet, and I want it so bad.
Yeah, it was a great dish. And this actually goes back. We had a pastry chef for a while named Shayna, and she was great while she was here. Really miss having her. I really enjoyed having her around. But she actually had her version of a s'mores dish we put on the menu. And she is vegan, and she made everything she did vegan, which is really cool, but also I think is kind of limiting sometimes. And when we were doing this last fall, I was like, I'd really like to revisit that. Like, s'mores became like a really big thing again last year. So I kind of revisited the dish that she did and kind of took the time to not make it vegan.
Right.
Which, again, there's no hate to any vegans, but it's nice to be able to work with animal products sometimes, right? They're great. But yeah, it's we use Askinosie chocolate, which is local. They were right by where I lived like a month ago on C Street, and they're great. We could just really drive over and pick it up from them. I like working like tahini with it, which is like, you often only see it in hummus, but I mean, it's essentially just like sesame butter, right? It's just ground up sesame seeds. So I mean, it works in the same way that like other nut butters, like almond or peanut butter would be, right? They work really well with chocolate, and they add a lot of depth to it. So we worked that way into like that kind of cracker element, which for this last one, we essentially did a crust on the bottom that was like that tahini kind of like graham cracker-esque style base. And then for the chocolate, we did like a really rich like brownie. We like ever so slightly undercooked it, just so whenever it got cooked the rest of the way, it was like just barely like molten and cooked through. And then all the wood chips we save in-house that we use for different smoking projects, I take all of that liquid because essentially you have to soak them for like an hour or two, right, before you can use them. I take that liquid, I cook it down, and I turn that into a syrup, and we make the marshmallow out of that. So it has like that kind of like oaky flavor.
Like a campfire
right. So,
flavor.
Whenever you toast it, you kind of get like that wood smoke kind of flavor into it. So, yeah.
Man, I hope you'll bring that back eventually, because I was going to get in here, and I did see it on your menu, and I thought, no, it's not going to last too long. Well, I'm going to let you get back to it here, but real quick, when are you open for people to come visit?
So the order is open for dinner 7 nights a week, 5 to 10 p.m. We do brunch Saturday, Sunday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Yeah, that's when we're around. Vantage opens at 4 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Kitchen closes at 10. They go till midnight or 1, depending on the night of the week and bar close. But yeah, that's when we're open.
I love your lobby. There's a big fireplace, lots of different little seating sort of areas that you can get your group together and sort of hang out. Live music fairly often. You guys, I'm sure, have seen lots of notable people walk through those doors and come into the restaurant.
Oh, for sure.
Who all have you fed in here that you've had the opportunity?
Yeah. There was, what was the most recent one? We had Bill Nye come through. That was kind of cool. We had a bunch of like...
Bill Nye, the science guy, was here.
Came through a couple weeks ago. We had a bunch of people come through when the Comic-Con in town was here. So a bunch of different actors and voice actors and stuff from there. We've had lots of sports players come through. We had alumni from, different sports teams come through, and coaches and, famous people in that. We've had lots of music artists come through. I think the first year that I was here, Kiss and Gene Simmons and all of them kind of came through and ate. So that was cool. Yeah, there have been tons of people.
And I know the Today Show is on its way to town for the big Route 66 Centennial, so you never know. Al Roker and Dylan Dreyer could come strutting in, and make sure you recommend the scallops for me, would you?
I will. I'll actually be on air with them on Wednesday. So.
Is that right? Yeah. You're going to be there. Oh, nice. Okay. I actually got my name in the hat. I got a ticket, so I might come down and watch as well. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, Calvin Davis and Dylan Davis, no relation, from The Order and Vantage here at the Hotel Vandivort. Thank you guys for all the hard work you do. Thanks for taking time out of your really busy schedule to talk to me on Savor the Ozarks. And listen, anytime you need a taster, you call me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Joy.
Be sure to go to AroundTheOzarks.com to sign up for our daily newsletter, where you can get every episode of Savor the Ozarks, plus all our other podcasts, events, and contests straight to your inbox. And what are your favorite dishes in the 417? You have any restaurants you'd like me to visit? Email me at joy@AroundTheOzarks.com.